Okay, welcome. This is Andy Lee Graham, and I'm in Lake Atalan. I'm on Lake Atalan, Guatemala, and I'm hoping to go to Cuba pretty soon. I was going to go to Cameroon, then that became complicated. I might go to Tanzania, but maybe I'll go to Cuba for a couple months. Then I might go to Clearwater, Florida, and then I'm trying to go to Tanzania. Okay, I really got to leave the tourists behind. Okay, I've traveled nonstop. I don't have a home. Okay, I live as a traveler. I've been in 114 countries, and I've done this for 25 years, and almost pretty soon in March it'll be 26 years. Okay, today I'm going to talk about something that Rich brought up yesterday. He sent me a link about nuclear plants as a way to have electricity. Okay, kind of making a comment that the wind and the solar, in his opinion, was not really working out. Now, I'm going to go into some terminology, and there's some phrases. When you do research or you study something, it's all about the words. After a while, you've got a collection of different words. Today, we're going to talk about some words like decentralized, dependent on electricity, climate change, preppers, survivalists, decentralized, EMP, electric magnetic pulses. We're going to talk about civil disobedience and corporate disobedience, and experience versus YouTube, solar travelers. But what I have is, because I've been to 114 countries, I compare the world in a different way than most people. I understand how an Asian kind of thinks. I understand how different. I speak French and Spanish, so I kind of learned how to think in a different way. Learning a language helps you to think, learn to think in a different way. Uh, Not everybody thinks the same. Okay, whatever you think. The Arabic people think a lot different than uh, maybe a German type European culture. Okay, but Rich brought up this thing, and Bill Gates has invested in a couple different types of nuclear plants, and nuclear electricity is, in a way, other than it's so difficult to build in the United States because of they got these cover your ass files. Everybody's afraid of liability, right? So it becomes very onerous, the cost of having a nuclear plant. But if they could make a nuclear plant, especially if they could go to fusion, it would be the ideal situation for a centralized government. Okay, but in my opinion, what the governments of the planet want you to do is, I'll give an example. When I'm in Togo, they have a lot of Togo, West Africa. They have a lot of solar, and there's a real big push in all the African countries to put landlines, electrical lines, into every city, because there's cities that are in Togo that are completely solar, and they are afraid that they're going to become used to using their own solar panels, and they're not going to be able to get them connected. Because a lot of ways, the governments of the people that work in the government own the water industry, they own the electric industry, and it's kind of like the 25 families of every country own everything. So what they want to do is they want to get you dependent on electricity, they want to get you dependent on water, and they want to get you on gas for like cars. There's other things they want to get you dependent on. But Amazon is constantly trying to get you dependent on their Prime system, right? So that you feel that you must buy that way. Hola. Um, but interesting, the United States has become dependent on China um, for different things. I think a lot of these transformers that are in the electrical grids are made in China, and that makes us so. But interdependence between countries keeps us from going to war. Okay, so it's not that bad an idea, but the in a way, when we're buying gas or oil from Saudi Arabia or any of these countries or Iran or things, they can bankrupt us like that. Okay, all they got to do is cut off our oil. Energy is a dependency. We have a dependency on uh, petrol, oil, electricity, water, all these things. But I'm going to put a joke in here. Maybe I'll become a prepper, a survivalist. A prepper is a person that's preparing for the end of the world. A survivalist is kind of the big term for this type of person, and they all have their bug out bags. A bug out bag, I don't know where they're going to bug out to, but they're going to bug out in the course of a nuclear war or something. They could go up into the mountains and live. Okay, but the argument that I will say against nuclear and like wind power is really kind of doesn't really work that well. I mean, it does, but the cost and the noise and the annoyance that it causes, it kills birds and all sorts of stuff. I really think wind power should be almost removed. But what you want is you got centralized government, and like Bitcoin, people always talk about decentralized currency, okay? And what that means is that Bitcoin can be used anywhere on the planet and it's not controlled by any one government, okay? Now the big problem is that there's only one currency, so it becomes centralized again, right? Not really decentralized. It's really more centralized because you'd only be using one currency if you're using Bitcoin. But a decentralization is the idea that we are not dependent on our government, okay? And in solar, water, and electricity, I constantly, when I'm living in any room, I'm always trying to figure out if there's any way I can carry batteries so that I don't need to be on the grid for all the time. I'd like to be able to carry like motorcycle batteries, and then I could buy these in any country, and then I could, they're very difficult to carry on planes, but I could carry them, go to a continent like Africa, then I could travel to about 10 countries, and then I could ditch the batteries and leave. But battery backups makes it so that you can be connected to the grid and then charge for like a day and then be off the grid for 5 days, right? I can do this pretty good with my smartphone. I have like 3 little batteries, and I can go about 2 days with just using my smartphone. But I have 2 computers. But decentralized electricity, what is this? Here, with the idea that Rich has that nuclear is going to be the way, what you do is the government makes us dependent on it. So the reason why I'm always wanting solar to take off is because every house could be their own little island, okay? They could be completely their one culture and not need the electrical grid at all. And that doesn't work very good in the United States. I found out that you have to have special electricians to install this. They've got it all licensed. The price of solar panels inside the United States is about 4 times more than in Africa. They're making it so that like Elon Musk solar companies are making money, but the Chinese can't compete. They're doing a whole bunch of Mickey Mouse stuff in the background, and then they're all doing it under the guise of climate change and making the world a better place. What they're doing is they're making 1984. 1984 is George Orwell's book of, everybody's listening to the thing and everybody's snitching on everybody else. Everybody's talking. 1984 was a dystopian film or book saying that in the future we're all going to have like Big Brother. Okay, Big Brother is going to tell us what to do, and everybody's going to agree. And you can see that's happening in the United States right now. But the solution to that is to have little islands. So look, I'm writing a book, Andy's alternate reality, A Tribe of One, for 25 years in 100 plus countries. And see, I create my own little bubble. I live in my own little culture. I obey my own little rules. I have a tribe of one. But when you have a tribe of like billions or millions or whatever, and everybody's dependent on the electrical grid. It's pretty much a problem. Uh, the phrase that I would really there's a electric electrical magnetic pulse. Elon Musk was talking about decommissioning or causing problems for the Russians, helping out the Ukrainian by destroying the electrical grid of the Russians. He can release an electric. It's like a storm of electric radiation. Okay, electrical magnetic pulse. And then I was happy to discover. I'm just going to bring this up. Elon Musk thinks that smartphone radiation is not a problem at all. You could have a hat made out of smartphones and it's not going to cause a problem. One of the best websites for news on the planet is CBN, and they talk. CBN is like a Christian thing, and it really reports well on Israel. I have like 100 different news channels, 120 probably right now, that I kind of open up 10, 10, 10, and I can get a really very open, diverse set of news because I can open them up really fast on my computers. But what I want, and Henry David Thoreau talked about civil disobedience. Okay, and when you have obedience, that means you're going to be on the grid. You're going to be a wage slave. You're going to work 30 years. You're going to retire at 65. You're going to get on Social Security. You're going to live in your house. You're going to go to the doctor once a month. These are obedience. Okay, disobedience is when you go your own way. And Ralph Waldo Emerson and both of them are talking about to be a man or something, you really have to be a nonconformist. And anybody that conforms to the rules of a government is kind of in 1984 dependent on Big Brother. But rich, you can have solar panels and make your house independent. The battery is still a problem, but you can. I was constantly trying to figure out to do a combination of 3 different things in Africa where they have water power, like a little thing that sits on top of the water and spins and makes electricity. You'd have a sovinus. There's a type of wind thing. It doesn't have propellers. It's actually round and it spins around. It's called, I can't say the word, sovinus or something like that. And then you have, so you could have that at night and then solar during the day, and you would have a continuous stream of electricity. And in most countries, the electric usage goes down at night. It's not like the United States where they stay up all night. They go to bed, they wake up, they're natural. They wake up in the morning when the sun comes up, they go to bed when the sun goes down. Probably at least 150 of the normal countries are really waking and sleeping with the sun going up and down. You always have the stray, wild animals that go out at midnight or something like that. But you have 2 types of obedience: civil disobedience and corporate obedience. And this is what Amazon wants, and Zuckerberg and Google and all these guys want corporate obedience. And that's what they're doing inside the United States right now. I want decentralized government, kind of a libertarian type view where we make our own decisions and how we live our life. Now that's hard to do because it's easier to follow along. I'm kind of an iconoclast. I make up my own rules. I'm a tribal one. But the solar panels can give you off-grid ability. Water isn't really that difficult. Contrary to what you think, having drinkable water is not a very complicated thing to do. And but a lot of times, like I was in Brazil, and they ran a big tube of water over, they dug a well, and they created a village. And in Africa, they're doing the same. The NGOs will put a well in, and then everybody will build a house around that well. The bad part about the African is they don't maintain the wells. They don't have any long-term plan on how to keep these. So they build a well, and then boom, Next thing you know, because an NGO done it, a non-governmental organization or aid organization, 10 years later, everybody has to move because the well breaks and they can't fix it. It was made in India. A lot of these high, deep water wells in Africa are made in India, and they should be made in Africa by the local artisans. And if you want to really help the people, teach them how to make a well. Don't teach them how to buy a well. They could in the 1400, 1500, 1600, 1700s, they were making wells, deep water wells in, the prairies of Texas and stuff like that. Okay, would put big windmills on top of them and things like that. But to get dependent on water, gas, and electricity. But I'm going to tell you something. Dennis Quaid's got a really interesting thing. I watched a video with Dennis Quaid and Tucker Carlson, and in 19 let's see if I got the date right here. 1859, I think. There was a solar storm that came in from the sun, and it literally fried all the telegraph wires in the United States. And Dennis Quaid is saying that he's 100% sure that this is going to happen again. And I agree with him. He's 100% sure that we're going to have a solar flare that creates almost like an atomic bomb. See, there's different ways you can have electrical magnetic pulse, and you can put all the electrical out of business. You can kill all your computers, kill all your phones, fry different telephone systems, fry the diodes and the tubes and every kind of different resistor there is. You can fry these things with the electrical magnetic pulse. And this is where it's scary. We are so dependent on electricity. They say that if this happens to half the planet, if the solar had one of these solar storms, it would only get half the planet, and nobody's prepared for this, okay? And I don't know, maybe China is, who knows? But my point is that we're not electric, we're just Big Brother is creating solar. They want us to be addicted to nuclear. Bill Gates wants us to be addicted to nuclear, okay? He wants us to be addicted to the Davos group. He wants us to be addicted to, he doesn't want us to be independent. And they create all these legal systems to force it so that you cannot, it's very, very difficult to go off the grid. One reason I like to travel is I don't have to obey all the crazy rules. But I will tell you that what's different about me is I have on-the-ground experience, boots on the ground, versus you watching a bunch of videos. I don't know how many people think that because they watch the video, they know about a country as well as a person that actually went to the country. There's a thing called cultivation theory. Cultivation theory is the idea that you watched a film or a documentary or a video or a news clip, and that became a imprinted memory in your brain, and you get confused as to whether or not it's the influence of television on your memory. Because what you do is they actually think that they know because they had a visual experience. I had people talk to me about going to Iraq, and I said, "Did you go there?" He goes, "No, but I watched this film." And I go, "It's not the same." Okay. I got in a big argument with this guy, Richard. He says, it's more important to read and watch films than it is to actually go do the actual experience. And this is becoming a problem, cultivation theory. I've got 3 or 4 links here talking about the magnetic EMPs, electrical magnetic pulse. I've got the U.S. Naval, of course. I've got different links. I'll try to put this link in the thing. U.S. Naval. But Dennis Quaid says he's 100% sure, and I agree with him. It's just an inevitable that we have one of these solar storms, these solar flares that just fries all our electricity. We can, he was making a joke that for the amount of money that we sent to already, we sent like $175 billion to Ukraine. We could have protected our whole electrical system inside the United States. And it's becoming a very big deal. But when the preppers kick in and the survivalists and everybody's got their bug out bag, the people with trades, like I'm a carpenter, I'm a concrete worker, I'm a home builder, I can fix anything but a broken heart. I will always have a way to make money. It'll be the doctors, the lawyers, the professors, and all these guys that are dying first. And what they're saying is 90% of the people will die when this EMP hits, electrical magnetic pulse. But if you can work with your hands, you can do it. Right now in Davos in Switzerland, they're talking about the Great Reset, and that's trying to have a centralized government. I want a decentralized government, kind of like Bitcoin, but I want 50 different types of Bitcoin, not controlled by any government. One Bitcoin doesn't make it. You got to have, that's just really a centralized currency. It's not decentralized. Decentralized would probably be more like a barter system, right? Henry David Thoreau, a man that I highly respected, went off the grid in Wadden Pond near Concord, Massachusetts. What did he do? He lived in a one-room house and lived by only his necessities. I've been doing this for 25 years, living in a one-room hotel, and I'm very, very happy because when you get accustomed to not thinking about wants all the time, you're free, okay? When you stop thinking about where did he get his water? He probably went to Wadden Pond and drank the water. You can literally drink the water from a lake and you can purify it. There's a lot of ways to clean up. There's two types of things in water. You have chemicals and then you have organic things like Girardia and these different things. It's real easy to kill the animal life. You just put it in the sunlight for like 24 hours and it's called SODIS. It literally will kill every organic thing in it. Now, chemicals is another problem. You don't need a filter. These are all hokey things. They don't really work. But you can put in ultraviolet rays, kills organic stuff in water. But he spent 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days off the grid. And what did he learn? He learned the difference between being dependent and self-reliant. He's all about self-reliant and being his own person. He believes that nature has all the answers, and then the society and community in general. The less work you do for society, the better it is for society. But in Africa, there's definitely a race in Africa to install the electrical grid and make people dependent as fast as they can. We already got everybody on the planet dependent on bottled water, and the governments are not going to make the water from the tap okay to drink because they're making money because they own all the bottled water companies. Okay. The big signal right here is Bill Gates is investing in nuclear, and he's not doing it to make the world a better place. Wind is destructive, but solar panels are pretty good. We have a shortage of silver probably, and they're going to this thing called Perskowitz or whatever, which is some sort of sand type thing. And if they can make the solar panels, right now we're at about 24% efficiency rate. When we get up to 30 to 34, it'll put all the other electrical systems out of business because they won't be able to compete with solar panels. And eventually you'll have windows on all your houses will be solar panels, your roof will be solar panels, everything will be a solar panel, and we can literally go off the grid. In 1859, they had the Carrion event. This is when the solar storm hit and put all the it burned all the telegraph wires. We didn't really have that in 1859. You didn't have that much electricity. In 1845, when Henry David Thoreau he was complaining about industrialization, and he was pretty funny because he didn't have any electricity, and he didn't have it. I don't know where his John was, right? His outside toilet was, but there's Dennis Quaid talks about this film called Grid Down, Power Up. This is a film talking about the problem of this solar thing. But how do we protect ourselves? There's a chain of dependencies. We go along and we become part of the tribe, and the more we obey and do exactly like everybody else does, the less we have a strategy. A strategy is when we do something better or different than the other people. A strategy is not doing it the same as somebody else. Okay, I am constantly trying to define a strategy on how to live in a room. I'm gonna make a video pretty soon of the 10 boxes of different subjects of what I carry in my backpack. I call it boxes. We have civil disobedience, where you just kind of ignore the government. Okay, and then you have corporate disobedience, where you again ignore the corporate dictum. I'm not going to buy a Apple smartphone and get on a Verizon account, pay monthly for a year. This is addicted to the anchor. People do it. They constantly want to sign up for electricity. They want to sign up for a 12-month lease. They want to be dependent. Anybody that conforms and does this and has a yearly rent, they buy a motorcycle, it's an anchor. They buy a car, that's an anchor. I have almost no anchors. Why? Because I love to be free. I don't want to be dependent on the hotel to supply me everything. When the electricity goes off here and everybody's complaining, I'm sitting there watching movies on my smartphones. I have 2 smartphones, 3 smartphones, really, quite a few. And I don't break them, so I keep having the old ones too, right? But the Carrington event was named after a man in 1859. So if you really want to understand this Dennis Quaid, Tucker Carlson thing, the electrical magnetic, the solar storm that destroyed all the electrical system, and it's going to happen in the United States. Try to figure out the Carrington event, Carrington, Carrington. Okay, I have all these words. I used a service called, let's see if I can find it. I'm using different AI things, but I've got an AI system. I got the Open AI, which is really good just for rewriting, but this one does an internet search. Let me see if I can find it on my computer. It's quite special because what it does is called, it does an internet search. And I can't find it. It's got a strange name like Pixely or something. Pixely, really good. But I've got all these terms defined inside Google Docs that I'll try to put in thing. I don't know. I'm debating whether I should ever put these things inside the link. It's not like it's kind of like beating my head against the wall, right? I will laugh out loud. A lot of people want me to be a solar travel. That is absolutely the most difficult thing in the world. The reason is you have to put the solar panel about 20 meters from your room and run a wire, and everybody's going to steal the solar panel. And the places where you really need this, they also really want solar panels. Okay, life is good, and what's really great about this one new AI system I have is that it does perplexity. That's the name of it. Perplexity. It's really good at doing a search, and it creates a written document with citations. So inside this document, I have the words defined like electromagnetic pulse. I have decentralized, Carrington event. I have off-grid. I have electrical grid. And there's all these citations, which makes it civil disobedience. I didn't ask it for corporate disobedience. Corporate disobedience right now is almost more important than civil disobedience. Civil, the government's not very efficient, but the corporations are extremely efficient. Um, Facebook, Google, Amazon, they're monitoring everything you do. Corporate disobedience. Okay, but the minute that you sign up for a monthly anything, you're agreeing to be dependent. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. I don't have monthly anything. I do pay monthly for a room, but then it's a 1 month, 1 month, 1 month. When I switch, I'm always switching hotels because it gives me the freedom and it keeps me young by changing and adapting and constantly evolving. I'm continually learning about the world. When you stay in one place, you become dependent, you become complacent, you become complicit. You are not a free thinker. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. I'm here and you're not. Why not? I will be having a great time. I'm not going to go live anymore. I'm not going to make any shorts anymore. They're not benefit to me. Okay. Thank you very much. Life is good.